A lot of objects in Form Z have the ability to change their shape depending on these little control handles. You see I changed the wall thickness, the wall height. I can alter the base shape. You can also do this more numerically if you want by querying the parameters of the object. So if I query that, I can change the height to, say, I don't know, 10 feet. I could change the wall width to exactly 2 feet. I could even make the top or bottom closed. I'll make the base closed here. Next, how about I create some interior walls using a vector line tool. I'll give that a wall width of about 1 foot. Let's draw a couple lines in here. I'll even set a preset height of 10 feet. So there's just two simulated interior walls. I'll take these objects and join them together with my union tool, so now they're one object. Now to any object you can add volume by drawing on the side here. I'll just take my rectangle and draw a cube and extrude that perpendicular to the face upon which it was drawn. You can subtract volume. Doing the same thing, I'll just draw on the side and extrude that through the object. You can see how it's subtracted volume. And if I take that through multiple pieces of the same object, you can see it cuts that too. Alright, so let me get rid of these menus. I'll delete this object, and I'm going to build a little simple building. So I'll start out with a simple elongated box. Spin around to the end here, and I'll add a little bit of volume using my polygon tool. This will put kind of a diamond shape on the end here. You can make duplicates of objects at the same time you're transforming them. In this case, I'll do a rotate, so I'll keep the original in place and make a copy 180 degrees. I'll union both those objects together, so now they're one object. Maybe I'll put a second story by extruding some volume onto the top face of that first object. Now if I want to add a little bit more detail, I'll use a derivative. This is a way of making new objects that are derived from pieces of existing objects. So I can grab a little outline of a face and make a little offset set of bricks perhaps. I'll do that on the bottom level as well. And of course you can derive off the object that you had derived. You can also change the color, make a little concrete band around the top. I can change the width to make a concrete base that's a little wider. So you can see how quickly I've generated a lot of detail on this building. You can delete objects and subtopology. So I delete faces, points, segments, etc. Now notice that these walls are paper thin. If I want to give those some thickness, I'll use my parallel offset tool and just derive a thickness on all of those faces. Next, how about we carve some windows in the front? Let me go to my rectangle tool, and I'll just draw on this face. Draw a little square and extrude that back in through the wall. Let me give that another shot here. There's a window. Now the nice thing about Form Z is you can actually copy holes within objects, and this allows you to quickly make a whole bank of windows, for example. Now if I want to carve a window in the side or the end of this wall, I'll draw a rectangle on the front and then extrude it all the way through the side. So as you might remember me doing earlier, anywhere on the same object that you touch with that will also cut through. I'll do the same thing here on the top floor. Next I'll create a chimney. I'll move my base or reference grid to the height of the first floor. And I'll use a rectangle. I'll draw that rectangle and extrude that up to about there. Maybe I'll change that color back to the color of the walls. Next I'll create some interior walls. I'll use my vector line. I'll change that to an offset. Change the thickness to about 6 inches or ½ foot. And instead of using a keyed height, I'm going to use a preset height. So it'll just draw up to its maximum height as I'm drawing the original line. So there's just some interior walls. I'm kind of winging it here. How about a roof? Let me move my reference grid up to the top of that top floor. and I'll use a rectangle with a convergence object type. So that means as I draw the rectangle, it's going to come up to a point, so that'll make a nice hipped roof there. I'll do the same thing on the first floor. This will be slightly different. I'll draw the same kind of a shape like that, and then I'm going to flip that reference grid on its edge, which will allow me to do a derivative. So I go perpendicular to my reference grid when I derive extrusion off this face. Then I'll just union those two objects together and make a duplicate of that roof over onto the other wing since they're identical. So you can see how quickly we've generated this architectural form here in about 5 minutes.